It's time!
Hello people, we are back with another video for FightFive. This video is going to be regarding the fights that we would like to see. We all have our top fives. There's 4 of us here. We got Renaissance, what's up? Unbiased, what's up? Guardian. We're all here ready to go. We got our top fives ready to go. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 all the way across. Alright, so for my number 5, most anticipated fight, a fight I want to see personally, it's going to be McGregor versus Chandler. And I know that may be a little controversial with, McGregor where he's at these days and Chandler being close to a title shot, but in all realisticness, I see Chandler losing to Poirier, and he's still white hot anyways, popularity-wise, and I can see him getting that McGregor fight in the next 6 months. Renaissance, who's your number 5?
For my number 5, I have a weird pick. I got Umar Nurmagomedov versus Ricky Simon. Both are pretty good prospects. Umar Nurmagomedov is coming off a win against Nate Maness, a pretty dominating win, and you got Ricky Simon, who has pretty much good hype on him because he defeated Jack Shores. I think this is a pretty good fight for bantamweight. It actually depicts what the future is going to be. I think this is going to be a very close fight, and that is my top 5th pick.
Good pick. I like it. Unbiased, who's your number 5 most anticipated fight for the next 6 months?
For my number 5, I think a lot of people can agree with this. I got Marlon Vera versus Merab Devolishvili. Considering Merab doesn't want to fight Aljamain Sterling, and we're not quite sure who's going to get the next title shot after Aljo versus TJ, I just think making Merab versus Vera makes the most sense right now for the bantamweight division.
I like that pick. Definitely. It's a fun fight. Guardian, who's your number 5 fight that you want to see?
For me, I think it's quite important that this gets done. This is for a featherweight fight. I've got Josh Emmett versus Arnold Allen. I just think we just need a fight that could just solidify a title shot this weight division, because it's very messy right now. I think we should get these two either for a fight night main event or for an interim title fight. And you might be saying Yair or something, but Yair, I just don't believe his last fight was just too credible enough to give him a title shot. So, and plus he wants to wait for Volk, which I don't like. I just want to see a fight. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, I agree with that point. Definitely Yair. That wasn't really a credible one, but he is still at the top, so we'll see what happens there. So we're all moving on to number 4 here. My number 4 pick is a trilogy. It is Valentina Shevchenko versus Amanda Nunes 3. This makes sense for me for a multitude of reasons. Shevchenko, that division's kind of not a ton of credible contenders. I know Tyler Santos is still there and Molly McCann's on the up and up, but right now, for the next few months, I can see them making that fight, possibly even being the main event of the Brazil pay-per-view in January. I think that makes a lot of sense, perhaps. Maybe the co-main if they have, I don't know. Depends what happens with the Brazilian champions, but that fight makes a lot of sense. It seems like perfect timing, and a lot of people want to see it. A lot of people think that Shevchenko won that second fight. So, that's my number 4. Renaissance, what do you got? Number 4 pick.
For my number 4, it's a banger. It's Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Physique. This is gonna be a banger, man. This is a fight this is destined. Justin Gaethje, I know, does not want to fight Rafael Physique, but I want to see this fight happen. I think both are pretty skillful. I think Rafael Physique is a little bit more skillful, but I think this is the fight that should happen in the lightweight division. Justin Gaethje has fought everybody he can fight, right? I don't think he should get the McGregor fight. I think Rafael Physique is a good fight for him right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a good shout. I think makes a lot of sense. I actually saw on Physique's story, his Instagram story yesterday, he actually posted that was in the works or confirmed, so should be happening. Can't wait to see that. Hopefully it happens. Unbiased, who do you got for your number 4?
For my number 4, I got Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. I know Guardian was saying he didn't like that fight, and I can understand why, but to me, it's Josh Emmett's last win wasn't that credible either. I think the majority of people know that Josh Emmett lost that fight. He did not beat Calvin Kattar. and even his fight against Dan Ige, I thought Josh Emmett won, but it was very, very close. You can make a huge argument for Dan Ige winning that fight. I just honestly think it does make sense with where they're both at.
Yeah, I think that's a fight that I would actually want to see over the Arnold Allen Emmett matchup. I think Emmett is good, but I don't think he's good enough to be champ. But that's beside the point. Yair versus Emmett is definitely a fun fight. Guardian, who you got for your number 4 fight?
Well, for me, I just wanted to say I want to see Mozbarev pretty much fight anyone just around the area, like Bryce Mitchell or maybe, I don't know, someone, because it's kind of annoying that Shane Burgos and all that left for PFL, because we could be making fun matchups for that. I want to see Mozbarev show his skill even more. I know he showed skill against Dan Ige, but I just want to see him versus a top level guy like maybe the Korean Zombie or something, or Bryce Mitchell. I feel like we can get some really good fights in there for featherweight.
Yeah, that would be a banger for sure. Very fun fight there. Alright, so we're moving on to number 3 here. I have another trilogy. Should be obvious. It's kind of recency bias. Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 3. I think it's pretty much guaranteed to happen, right? I mean, Usman has multiple defenses. He was on that huge win streak, number 1 pound for pound. If he can't get an immediate rematch, I don't know who could at that point. But making it happen in London should be a huge fight, huge pay-per-view. Bring up all the London guys and just make it insane. Have Patty and Molly and everybody on it. It'll be fireworks. Renaissance, who is your number 3 fight that you want to see?
For my number 3, it's kind of same as Kilburn and Andrew. I got Nunes versus Chevchenko 3. It's a fight that makes sense in every direction. It just makes sense, right? And I think we gotta make this fight because there is nobody at bantamweight that can actually give Nunes some trouble. And the only last time that we have seen Nunes get some close fights is with Chevchenko, and that's what I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely perfect timing for that fight to happen. I agree. Unbiased, who is your number 3 fight that you want to see?
So for number 3, I see Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns is in the works, and Jeff Neal is calling out Gilbert Burns. But in my opinion, those two should just fight each other. Jorge Masvidal versus Jeff Neal. It makes perfect sense to me. Neal is coming off of beating the number 6 ranked, and Jorge Masvidal, he's still a big name. I believe he's number 8 or 9 ranked right now. And yes, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, but he's on a 3-fight losing streak to Colby Covington, and then the other 2 losses were to the champ. So I just think it makes perfect sense right now.
Yeah, that would definitely be a fun fight. The only reason I cannot see that, or I wouldn't see that happening, is because, we're kind of alluding to it. Masvidal's kind of a big draw now. I can see him definitely headlining most pay-per-views if he's against another big name like a McGregor or whatever, or a Nate Diaz rematch if that ever happened. But that's, once again, beside the point. Guardian, who is your 3rd fight that you want to see?
This one's debatable, and realistically around this area of the middleweight division, it can go either way. But I've got Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. This fight was originally booked, I believe, for around 2021. It was booked. Paulo Costa had to pull out. I think Robert Whittaker gets past Marvin Vettori quite handily, quite comfortably. Although obviously Paulo Costa got a nice win over Luke Rockhold. I just think it'll be a perfect time to make this fight, and I don't believe Robert Whittaker would have deserved a title fight if he beats Marvin. I know Marvin Vettori's number 2 in the division, well, number 3 even, whatever, and that's a very good win, but you can't just get a title fight after, even if you just lost the champion and you're number 1. You can't, it just doesn't make sense if you get a title shot off of 1 win. So I want to see that fight happen. Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, and if Whittaker wins, then I think he's deserved that trilogy of Adesanya if he gets past Pereira.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. That would be a very fun fight as well, Paulo Costa and Whittaker. Now we're moving on to the top 2s here. My number 2 fight that I want to see in the next few months. This is a big one. Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou for the undisputed heavyweight title. I think this just has money written all over it. The GOAT of light heavyweight moving up, finally coming back after 2 years against the guy who hits like a Ford Escort, Francis Ngannou. It's just a fun fight. and it makes a lot of sense to me, and I think it would be huge. Renaissance, who is your number 2 fight that you want to see in the next few months?
The number 2 fight I want to see is Alex Volkanovski versus the winner of Charles versus Islam Makhachev. I think Islam Makhachev is going to win probably by decision or submission, and I think Alex Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev is going to be an amazing fight. Because featherweight does not have the top 5 featherweight does not have that many good wrestlers, and I want to see Volkanovski face a very high level wrestler like Islam Makhachev. So that's the fight I want to see.
It's definitely a good shout. Unbiased, who is your second pick that you want to see, your second fight?
Number 2 kind of ties into my number 3. I have Gilbert Burns versus Colby Covington. I was originally going to do Colby Covington versus Khamzat Chimaev, like if we made this list a few months ago. But obviously, Khamzat Chimaev is fighting Nate Diaz. I just think Gilbert Burns versus Colby Covington, they're obviously both at the top of the division. They're both really fun fighters to watch. I think Gilbert Burns, honestly, is a pretty big draw for the UFC, so it makes sense for him to fight Colby Covington. And, maybe you could even argue that this is a number 1 contenders fight, because I know some people don't like Khamzat Chimaev getting a title shot after beating someone like Nate Diaz. I mean, I know Leon Edwards did it. I think Khamzat could get the title shot, but I know a lot of people aren't happy with it.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. I was actually seeing rumors about that yesterday on Instagram that they might be trying to pull the trigger on that Gilbert Burns versus Colby Covington fight. Definitely would be a banger for sure. Guardian, who is your second most anticipated fight that you want to see next few months?
Now, I said I didn't have this on my list, but I have Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 3. It's 1-1. We can make this fight in Wembley, London, England, which is absolutely huge because Wembley is such a big arena, especially in the UK. As I said, it's 1-1. Edwards got that fascinating comeback KO in that last fight, and I just believe that we need to see this trilogy happen. Who was the best in that division right now?
Yeah, that fight just makes so much sense, and there's money written all over it for the UFC. They like the money, so might as well just make it happen while the iron's hot, I guess they say. Alright, moving on to our number 1 most anticipated fights that we would like to see. My number 1 is Alexander Volkanovski moving up to 155 and challenging Charles Oliveira. This is similar to Renaissance's pick, except I'm pretty confident that Charles Oliveira will get it done come October. And I think stylistically this is just a fun fight. I can honestly see either guy winning. Volkanovski's on the top of his game right now, number 1 pound for pound fighter on the planet. And then you got Charles Oliveira. How are you going to doubt him at that point? If he beats Islam, the streak that he's on, I just can't see it not being a huge fight for the UFC, and it would be a fun fight. Renaissance, who is your your number 1 most anticipated fight?
Man, first of all, Islam is gonna ruin your plans, baby, and I'm not even joking. Islam is gonna ruin everybody's plans. It's not gonna be close. Islam by submission, Islam by domination. Father's plan, baby. I'm not even joking. But for my first pick, I gotta agree with Kilban Andrew. Andrew's second pick, Jones versus Ngannou. Because I believe Jones will fight this year. He'll fight Stipe for the interim championship, and Ngannou is still probably hurt. I think Ngannou will fight probably early or mid next year, and that fight is going to be with Jon Jones. That is a fight I want to see. I don't want to see Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic because Stipe Miocic is old, and if I want Jon Jones to prove himself in some division, I'd rather be Francis Ngannou. I just want to see the heavyweight power that Francis Ngannou brings and how he will bring it against Jon Jones.
Yeah, that would definitely be a huge matchup. I could actually see it happening sooner than what you're saying, Renaissance, because I saw a lot of rumors that Ngannou may be ready come December, which seems way too fast. But if he's ready, he's ready. And that'll definitely be a huge fight. Unbiased, who is your number 1 most anticipated fight that you want to see?
I just want to say, before I say my number 1, mark my words, Charles do Bronx Oliveira, 2nd round KO, and still, and new, whatever you want to call it. Do Bronx second round KO.
Agreed.
But going into my number one pick for the fight, I got the trilogy between Nunes and Chevchenko. I mean, Shevchenko's been doing really good lately. Her last loss was to Nunes. You could argue that she lost to Santos, but most people don't think so. Yeah, I think Nunes won both fights against Shevchenko. I thought she won 48-47 in the second fight. But either way, it's not rare to see a trilogy, even if one fighter won the first two fights. And it makes the most sense right now. Shevchenko really doesn't have that many challenges at 125. And I have no clue who the heck is going to even make a good attempt to dethrone Nunes at 135. So the trilogy is just what makes sense to me right now.
Yeah, the timing is definitely perfect for that fight. I think they need to make it happen. Guardian, what is your number one most anticipated fight for the next few months?
For me, it's very similar to what Renaissance said, but a bit kind of the opposite. I've got Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic, the light heavyweight GOAT versus the heavyweight GOAT. Regardless how old they are, I want to see this fight now. It's already being seen. It was targeted. I've got no idea what they're gonna do, because I do believe it's Stipe Miocic who's holding this up, but I'm not even too sure. They're saying now Jon Jones versus Ngannou could be a possibility, but I just want to see this fight done. See Jon Jones at heavyweight just before he goes straight into a title fight. I just want to see this fight done. And outside of McGregor, maybe Masvidal, Jon Jones is the biggest draw in the UFC right now.
100% agreed. I would love to see that fight, but yeah. I mean, either way, I would be happy. We got to see Jon Jones back soon anyways. That's all that really matters to me. All right, so we got our top fives. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Planning for the episode 2 of FightFive podcast. Targeting it for Monday to come out, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned on all socials, FightFive pod. We'll see you in the next video.